Welcome back, everyone, to Style Esports Season 14. This evening, on this beautiful Sunday, we have We Strike First versus TDS Academy. My name is Llama. Alongside me, once again, is All Out Potato.
Yeah, and two brand new teams that I will be seeing at least. So I'm very excited to see some fresh faces, some new players to get to cast, and I'm loving that right off the bat there's not going to be a cat in our game.
I mean, I do love to see that. Already, I'm liking this so much better than what we've seen before. It's going to be great to see, as you mentioned, some fresh faces, fresh names, kind of fresh elo too. We're kind of seeing mid silver looks like is kind of the average player in this match, and kind of some people floating around there. But that does also mean that the draft is going to be a little bit harder to predict here. I'm not expecting to see any kind of like you know Zeri, Sivir, Lucian, Nami right away. I don't think I can predict at least the first half of this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I think player comfort is definitely key when playing at around this level, and we see some of the bans most likely seem to be reflecting that. Things like Nasus and Ashe, usually not premier bans to go for, but if these are the comfort champions that the team has, they can absolutely be good to take out.
Yeah, so we'll have to see kind of what these teams are prioritizing for the comfort. And I mean, Potato, this kind of looks like Friday evening, honestly. Maokai
Yeah.
first pick. I mean, we saw that as well. So, I mean, they still know the meta as well. And that looks like that's going to be the jungler indelible six pulling out that Maokai for TDS Academy in this first game.
We did, and the Maokai certainly looked fearsome last time we saw it, drawing bans for the rest of the series after it got first pick Prio, just a champion that's not too hard to execute on. It's got a good clear, it's got a good lockdown, it has great control, does a lot of damage. Great pickup.
Yeah, no, we strike first. Their marksman here, that's going to be LaFroggy. She's opting to play the Ezreal here in this first game. And I wonder if they're going to match a jungler then, would kind of be my expectation, or maybe just pick up a support pairing to go with Ezreal. Lots of options still available, but you're right that, you got to have something fearsome to match the Maokai. They said we're not even going to approach that bridge yet. Let's just take our mid laner, and that's going to be a Victor pick.
Yeah, Victor's certainly a champion that I hate playing against. A little bit bold, in my opinion, to directly blind pick it into a lockdown jungler, such as a Maokai, and giving your opponent the option to counterpick you, but still a great scaling mage that has a lot of range and control, can do bucket loads of damage later on in the game.
And some good scaling options as well, and it's matched with scaling. Kassadin, a premier mid laner and known as a mid game and late game menace to match in the mid lane. That's going to be a champion that's going to be happy scaling, but is going to be suffering from not having the range early on in the mid lane matchup. But speaking about range, Varus, known to have one of the longest skill shots there in the bot lane, that piercing arrow can be lots of damage from far away, as well as some great kind of crowd control to help out with Maokai.
It can indeed, and I do like that it's going into Victor Ezreal. It's something that can contest the slightly longer ranges of these two champions. And Kastan is very interesting to me because I think this is a champion that I've been hearing more whispers around the grapevine recently of it seeing a slight bit of a resurgence. I'm not sure if it might be due to the Seraph changes or something else, but I feel like I have seen this rise a lot in kind of pick ban priority, at least around solo queue.
Yeah, absolutely right. And a champion I have kind of seen in and out of the meta here is what We Strike first picked up for their jungle as an Udyr matchup. We'll have to see what kind of build this Udyr is going to be looking for. Likely going to be Rip Rocks piloting that in the jungle. It is their premier jungler with 3 games so far this season. Do you want to guess the KDA on that, Potato?
I'm gonna go with 11. I'm gonna have a lot of
It's
faith in Rip
it's
Rocks
not
here.
quite that, but it's still 6.67 in
That's
3 games,
pretty
a
high.
100% win rate, and nearly a 7 KDA. In the games that I'm seeing, they've played both ways. They have played the Jack Show Demonic Embrace tanky Udyr build, but have also demonstrated that fearing Prowler's Claw technology from the jungle as well. So we'll have to see in this game here which of those two builds this Udyr opts to go to in that jungle matchup.
Yeah, I am very interested in seeing which direction he decides to head. I certainly remember Traveler's Claw Udyr being an absolute terror on the Rift for every champion of the game. Tanky people, squishy people, did not matter. He would get onto you and two-shot you. I believe there were some adjustments to tone that down a little bit after that period of time, but still something that can put out a lot of hurt.
Yeah, can still be very, very strong. And Nami, another champion that we've seen a lot in the meta, nearly almost exclusively paired with a Lucian matchup, with how well those two champions synergize with one another. In this one, however, they're opting to choose the Nami into Ezreal, and that can still provide lots of lockdown. It can be a primary engage with uh, that big tidal wave that Nami can provide. So there are still some great engage options there, and I think Nami doesn't have to exclusively be played with Lucian, and we'll kind of see what the answer is. But I mean, Blitzcrank says, "Come here, fish," and can just do so much damage if Nami's in the wrong position.
Certainly, Blitzcrank, one of those champions that can be a huge wild card and really turn the game on its head. So, absolutely a fun pick to watch whenever I see it come out. And yeah, Nami for me it just can be really a big lane bully champion, especially paired with any ADC that has a pretty long range auto attack. You slap an E on them, and you're taking a lot of damage all of a sudden. And Renekton gets to round out the team comp for TDS.
Yeah, as a blind pick top laner here, we have seen it even all the way up through the highest levels of play as a champion that if one of the players has comfort on piloting this early game Crocodile, it can find so many dividends later on into the game, has high damage as well. And Aatrox as the matchup, a very kind of common, feels like some bruiser top lane here for both of these top laners. Here looks like Festive and Izumo is going to be that top lane matchup. We'll have to see what they can pull out on these final champions, saving both those till the end of the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. And going as we're about to get right into game, do you find that one team came out of the draft like a little bit ahead of the other, or do you think that they're about even?
It's going to be interesting to see level of execution, and I think that is a big piece at this level of play. Based on the champions, the prevalence, what I've seen have success in the meta, just overall damage, I really like what TDS Academy has chosen to draft here in this first game. I think really smart scaling pickups with things like Kassadin and even the Maokai as well. And you still have great damage dealing, some great catch potential, high potential to carry from the top lane. I think TDS kind of has picked a pretty well-rounded, pretty meta composition as well. So I mean, I think I'm leaning that way at least based on this draft.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And to advocate a little bit for We Strike First, one combo I'm looking here in particular is the Ezreal Victor. I remember a game on Casa not too long ago where they picked these two champions into an opponent team comp that doesn't have all that much range, and there was just no way for the enemy to ever approach these two champions, and they took over every single fight. Now, TDS this time around do have a bit more tools at their disposal, and Maokai ult definitely comes to mind, but Blitzcrank Cook is of course another wild card. But should those get expended, it can be a little difficult for some of the champions to try and approach these two. So we'll have to see how the execution ends up going.
Yeah, you're right about the range advantage. I think we strike first, especially that Ezreal. Those mystic shots can be really strong. Even Ezreal right now has lots of different itemization kind of pathways right now in this early on season 13 of League of Legends, and you can look for something like a Kraken Slayer and even into an Essence Reaver and Hori Quick Blades we've seen as one option. And if they go for that, as you mentioned, some of the short range here, we're seeing 4 melee champions that TDS Academy has drafted. So if Ezreal can hit critical mass and start really dishing out the damage from range, I would expect to see We Strike First being able to get a lot of these first strike gold and damage on early on in these team fights, and it might be enough that TDS Academy won't be able to deal with it.
Yeah, and I actually really am hoping to see a bit of a first strike coming out for the Ezreal Victor here. Not sure we'll see it on both, but it would be very entertaining. And yeah, I'm certainly curious to see which build path Ezreal will end up going on. I've even seen things such as a Ravenous Hydra rush on this champion to get some wave clear and a lot of early AD as well. So I think it's really neat. I'm a bit of a Ezreal enjoyer myself. Haven't quite decided on which build I favor, but we'll see which one we will have tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, my eyes early on are going to be on that Blitzcrank in the bot lane. See if Blaze will be able to find those key hooks to pull advantages, not only in the bot lane, but across the rift. It's going to be that, I think, is a key matchup early on. And of course, these two junglers, both of them can just farm up and just clear the jungle on repeat till 14 minutes. But both of them, too, could have massive impacts on the outcome of this early game. So that's where my eyes are going to be at, and we'll have to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just waiting for Champion Select to finish up here. Going to go into a break a little bit soon, but stay right where you are, and we'll get you some gameplay very shortly.
See you all in a moment. We are on to the Rift for game number one between We Strike First and TDS Academy. The battle lines have been drawn, the champions have locked in, and now we are ready to go.
We are, and it's interesting to see both teams kind of spreading out for a 5 point here. A lot of times the Blitzcrank team will look for some kind of invade, but we see We Strike First already investing a couple wards to make sure that nothing is going to surprise them.
Yeah, and both of these teams, no one really pushing into the enemy territory, not even for too much vision here. Against a Blitzcrank team, you always got to be a little bit worried about Blaze just running in with the team to get first move and try to land one of those hooks to start off with an early flash. But, Blazeheart just opted to just control that jungle, and that Blitz and Crank is not going to be doing anything yet.
Certainly is not quite yet. And speaking of the Udyr build, it looks like Riprox has opted for the Ghost and Mossheart. So I'm assuming that we'll see the more tanky variation of the Udyr coming out in this game, but we'll see if that does end up coming to pass.
Yeah, the other kind of parity here that I'm seeing across the map, I mean, of course, we see an aggressive Ignite for Blazeheart, but specifically Izumo no Okuni in the top lane, this Renekton, opting to take Ignite. Not only is that an aggressive summoner spell, but that heal cut that you can provide to Festive when that Aatrox has a World Ender up. I mean, that's going to be a great way to apply Grievous Wounds and avoid some of this healing that Aatrox will provide.
Yeah, absolutely can apply a lot of pressure, and if top lane ends up getting an advantage via the ignite, it can be a lot, a lot of pressure for the enemy champion to try and deal with here.
Oh,
And the
level
first
one.
hook, yeah, coming out onto LaFroggy, taking advantage of that level 2 spike. We see Raven almost getting the tower dive there, a heal forced out from Froggy, but is able to just barely hang on.
Yeah, Varus I thought might have had a piercing arrow here, but has opted for Blighted Quiver and Hail of Arrows as those first two abilities. So with W level 2, there was not a piercing out arrow available, but Blazeheart almost lands the next hook right after it here. So almost some early kills in the bot lane, and Blazeheart really fishing with some of these pulls.
Yeah, absolutely. But a quick double bubble here from Noxley showing that the Nami can put in some work into this lane as well. But yeah, so far 3 hooks, 2 near misses, and 1 hit. Blitzcrank is already doing fairly well.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on LaFroggy and see if she'll be able to dodge with the Arcane Shift. If you time it properly with that Rocket Crab, you can actually dodge getting pulled back. So we'll have to see if that timing will be right. Both junglers topside now.
Yeah, absolutely. Riprock's trying to get there in time. Festive already getting engaged on very early. A flash is going to help him survive for a little bit, and now it is Indelible in trouble as the Udyr is absolutely giving a smackdown here. Now it's Azumi forced to flash out. A great sweet spot Q from Festive helps pick up the second kill. That's a 2-0 Udyr early on in the game. A very significant lead for this jungle matchup.
I thought Festive for sure was going to be the first one to drop there, but expending the flash. Oh, another Herc bot! But it is going to
Yeah,
be just ran with the. There's that Arcane Shift. But, I mean, Festive, well played to get out of that play, and Rip Rocks all of a sudden second gank down in the mid lane.
yep, Riprox showing a significant presence here in the early game, helping to turn around that top lane fight and giving some love to his mid laner as well. Now going to grab the double scuttle crab. This is a bit of a dream start if you're the Udyr here.
Yeah, and really living up to their name in this first match. We Strike First sure has. And Rip Rocks now just unrelenting all three lanes in less than 4 minutes. Feels like this jungler is just really showing why their team name is We Strike First.
Yeah, around the world in 80 days, more like around the rift in a minute, going straight from top to bottom, making sure that every lane is covered here, starting the second rotation with a solid CS lead up on the Maokai as well. It's a great start from the Udyr.
It really is, and now I wonder if that is going to have any impact on the build that they opt to go. It does mean that an early demonic embrace could be rushed towards here. But even without a reset, Riprox is just going right back to a second rotation clear, already with an objective bounty and a 3 camp lead over top of Indelible, including that double scuttle here. So Riprox is very accelerated. That first back is going to be massive for them, and we'll see if Indelible looks to make a play somewhere else on the around the map.
Yeah, going to likely be upwards of 2100 gold on this first back. Going to be a lot of different components picked up. Is potentially looking topside here, but is going to walk into the jungle for a bit of an invade instead. We do see Izumo does have a ward, is
Oh.
going to probably spot this out. Aatrox is a bit far, but here's the engage. The first sweet spot Q barely misses. Renekton is able to get out with his life.
Yeah, great slice and dice to just dash out of the way, getting that double mobility, and Rip Rocks no ghost and no follow. Way to go, Azumo, to ignore that gank. And ultimately, on that first back here, Udyr's opted for the tier 2 boots already. Those boots of swiftness picked up in inventory as well as the blasting wand. So, Potato, your inhibitions were confirmed right here, looking like a demonic, likely into a jack show early on for this Udyr jungle.
Yeah, and when this Udyr starts get going, it can be so hard to take down. Casting is going to be a while before he can put out significant damage. The Varus too can have some trouble shredding through all of these resistances, so we'll have to see how much of an impact Udyr can have when the team start meeting up a little bit more. But for now, it looks like it's going to be an early dragon pickup, taking advantage of the bot lane reset timer.
Yeah, really well played and right back onto the map here for this Udyr already, as you said, onto Dragon as the second buff rotation is starting to spawn. So just really just smooth, clean, crisp pathing by Riprox in this first game, taking everything they need. And so far, we are yet to see TDS Academy make any kind of early game move around the map.
That we have, but looking across at some of the other lanes, we do see Aatrox here is able to pick up a bit of a lead into Renekton as well off of the back of that early top lane engagement. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, we see Raven and Blaze having pushed Froggy and Noxley into their tower for much of this early game is up quite significantly against their lane opponents, already picking up the Noon Quiver here for the Varus.
And the mid lane is the same story. Surprisingly, in a range versus melee matchup, typically Kassadin is the most likely to be abused in those first 6 levels before they get the Rift Walk. But now Bulldog has not only survived the early game, but is leaving it about up 18, 19 minions now. So Spaxi was not able to have any kind of early pressure onto Bulldog here. Now with Rift Walk available, it's going to be a lot harder for Rip Rocks to gank that lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And Casting, even though he's known for being a big scaling menace, sometimes when he starts getting these early leads, picking up some of these early components, he does a significant amount of damage. But hold on, that a great CC immunity from Riprox is going to prevent the Blitzcrank knockup from coming through as the chase onto Raven continues. And Ignite is expended as well as both summoner spells from the Varus here does manage to live, but still a pretty successful gank.
This might be a regank opportunity for Rip Rocks, but with that showing bot side, Indelible wants to make something happen top. Azumo no Okuni is going to be crashing a wave, and Festive does have World Ender available. It's going to be a very, very challenging dive, so I expect just them to back off here. Maybe look for Rift Herald while they have numbers on the map. But instead, looks like just Renekton just resetting and Blazeheart moving up through the mid lane, just clearing out some vision too.
Yeah, I do like that they don't go for that dive there. It seems too difficult to finish off with the World Ender available and the amount of health that Aatrox was on right there. We did have Maokai hitting level 6 up from those top lane minion EXP2, so we'll see if we do get a gank here
Oh.
from Nature's Crafts. But here's Blazeheart in the middle lane, gets the CC chain onto Spaxi. Spaxi forced to flash
Oh.
out. The Blitzcrank ulti is just going to barely miss, but that is the mid lane flash expended, so maybe there is a regank opportunity here for the jungler and the support in the next few minutes.
Yeah, great job from Blazeheart at least to burn that flash in the mid lane. He might have been a little bit more patient with that rocket grab, but ultimately the force was burned, or the flash was burned, so the force was good. And now that really just gives potentially a window on that Nature's Grasp timing, like you mentioned, Potato. See if that goes into the mid lane, because in that short lane, if Victor's in the wrong position, there can have so much collapse available.
Yeah, absolutely. And Riprox here fancying himself a bit of a 1v1, actually forcing out the Renekton ulti here. So continuing to just apply pressure everywhere as he's building, getting closer and closer towards the finish of that first item.
Yeah, and Spaxi just holding on and looking to scale now. Rift Herald looks like will not be started up, but both junglers posturing for position here in the top side. Spaxy yet to complete an item, and Bulldog really trying to farm for that Rod of Ages. That's going to be great to get stacking as early as possible here. Now it looks like WSF has secured the vision, and We Strike First has struck first with the first Dragon, the first Blood, and now the first Herald.
Yeah, I do like the rotation here, not dropping too many waves on the side as well. I'm hoping to see this Herald dropped within the next 3 minutes to make sure that the plate gold can start going over. All of the towers on TDS's side actually still very healthy, so probably not going to see a full tower take here, but extra income is always welcome.
You're right about the extra income, Potato, but as I'm looking at the gold already at 11 minutes into this game, we're still within about 150 gold or so between these two teams. So although they're down a little bit of stats from that first dragon, as well as some of that CS, and those kills, they're still keeping up in farm, like I was mentioning there. Like, look at the ADC difference here. Raven on this Varus is up nearly 45 farm over Lafragi. And now it looks like bot lane is the point of contention, but Lafragi down a lot of farm, which means a lot of gold. And now,
Yeah, and another hook onto the Nami there. Noxley going to go down very easily. An excellent, accurate pick from Blazeheart to get it started right before the dragon. That should be the free objective going over. And yeah, I do absolutely have to commend TDS's bot lane here. Varus and Blitzcrank consistently able to apply the pressure, get the waves crashed into the opponent's tower, and it seems like Ezreal Nami here just having a bit of difficulty getting access to the farm when the wave is pushed under, and it's caused a very wide disparity, almost a 1,000 gold, actually more than a 1,000 gold lead from the bot laner alone.
yeah, that is a significant margin of difference here. And now it does allow TDS Academy to start up this dragon. Even with Riprocks trying to position Nature's Grasp is used to disengage. Riprocks rooted. Will they still look for it? Because Noxali's back on the map. True Shot Barrage is available, but it looks like too many members of TDS Academy are around. And ultimately, TDS Academy taking that second dragon.
Yeah, I do like that Riprox did not end up deciding to commit there. The numbers were not in their favor. TDS was already too established there at the Dragon. So it is going to be 1-1 on the Dragon count here. And we're going to get Ocean Soul as our soul for the map.
And that Ocean Soul, for those that might not have as much information about it, is going to be so substantial for the healing for both of these teams. That soul provides after getting some damage down will heal you up so much after you use your abilities on enemy champions here. Oh, but here comes Noxali again.
Another great hook. Blazeheart absolutely just not missing here, getting all of these critical picks and putting Raven even further ahead. This bot lane is going to start to be very scary for all the accolades we gave Riprox for his amazing early presence here. Maokai has at least caught up in farm, and this bot lane gap is getting ever higher and higher. This Blitzcrank pick really paying dividends.
And we're starting to see the advantage of the counter pick support in this first draft. That Nami was locked in as an R4 pick, and Blazeheart snap locked that Blitzcrank as a response. And we named some of this challenge of having a Nami that's so immobile and likely is paired, or most commonly is paired, with a highly early aggression jungler like Lucian. But with Ezreal wanting to scale and not having those options, I mean, it's just shown the advantage that Blazeheart has found with this counterpick matchup, and Noxali is paying the price for it.
Yeah, and the difference in execution here is becoming pretty clear. Blitzcrank lands one hook, and the win condition is very, very clear. While the Ezreal Nami have to work so much harder playing around the Nami E to try and land bonus damage in those kinds of windows, it can just be more difficult to pull off. And we see the Blitzcrank really paying off here. We do have the Rift Herald being used just at the last second there to funnel some more gold on the Rip Rocks. So glad to see that that was used effectively as well.
Yeah, so it's really good to see that we are still getting that gold down. That's a couple of plates typically. Noxali not even feeling safe to walk into the bot side jungle now. With plates fallen, rotations are coming through. Bulldog level 10. This Cassidy has moved to the bot lane to now start picking it up, which has freed up Blazeheart and Raven to move around the map. Maybe look for something here. But
Yeah,
no one's in the mid lane.
No, no one is, and I was briefly excited to see mid laners and bot laners swapping down so early, but here's the Nature's Grasp We have Riprox eating it for Nuxali there. Doesn't CC him unit, but
Ooh.
another hook from Blazeheart is going to make Nuxali go down for the third time. The TP comes through. Festive is here in the action. That is Indelible going down, and the Udyr is going to be traded back as well. Festive and Froggy both very healthy, but there is Bulldog, and another hook from Blazeheart is going to make Froggy go down. Double kill for the Kassadin there. Festive not able to catch the rest of the members, as a flash is going to make sure that they stay alive. At the end of it all, an absolute brawl there in the mid lane, but advantage going over to TDS.
Yeah, ultimately TDS once again finding an advantage in these mid-game fights, and it was off the back of Blazeheart. An amazing hook early on onto Noxali at the beginning of that fight, even after Festive teleported in to try to save and use the flash aggressively. One more hook onto LaFroggy secured their fate as well, and Blazeheart landed rocket grab after rocket grab. This guy is headed for the moon.
He is, and now we see even the Shirelia's battle song coming out for Blitzcrank. So whenever he starts speeding towards you, that is going to be an absolute terror here on the Rift, with Bulldog picking up those 2 kills in that skirmish as well. That's going to be an early Rod of Ages completed, and is going to start stacking as well.
And with that second item, that needlessly large rod, that means a Seraph's Embrace to pair with that tier. Those two items are core for Kassadin to really be accelerated into this game here. Level 11 now, level 2 on the Rift Walk. Bulldog, incredibly strong and healthy moving into this mid game. And Spaxy, a lot to be desired from that role in the mid lane. Yes, you have the Luden's Echo as your mythic choice, but that is about it. And just in the mid lane matchup, nearly a 1,300 gold difference in that single lane. Big advantage for TDS Academy here as we've crested the 17.5 minute mark, and the second Herald looks like will at least be traded back for We Strike First.
Yeah, uncontested on that one. Riprox really on top of it, but that is the dragon spawning, and it looks like the members of We Strike First not wanting to engage this right away. We do have that second herald dropped to trade off that first top tower, hoping to get a crash onto the second one, as well as the members of TDS go and secure their first ocean and second dragon.
Yeah, Festive and Riprox decided to not even play around this dragon at all. Instead, Riprox immediately took the Herald, dropped the Herald, took the inner, and now crashing the inhibitor tower. Bulldog is now here to try to support it, but Izumu and Bulldog might be looking to trade this 2 for 2. But looks like they're going to be able to just run out of there safely. We Strike First gets a tower, gets a crash, but loses that second dragon now. And already this gold is dead even 18.5 minutes in.
Yeah, I really like this play actually. It's fairly likely that the members of We Strike First, after seeing the results of the mid lane skirmish earlier, decided maybe we aren't fit to win in a direct team fight here. But hold that thought, Festive and Azumo both going at it very hard. Renekton flashing over, just needs one more auto. Is Festive going to get out there? Does not. Cole the Meek calls the Meek, and that's Renekton getting a pickup onto the Aatrox.
Yeah, it's not a 5v5 skirmish potato, but that solo lane Izumo Noah Coney showing up in the top lane, taking it to Festive there. Even though they were at a CS disadvantage, that Blade of the Ruin King plus that extra damage from the serrated Dirk is so much for this Renekton, and this is where this champion becomes the strongest. Once they get the Prowler's Claw, which I expect to be that second item, Festive is going to have a hard time in this 1v1 matchup, I think, and Festive isn't building for that either.
Yeah, we don't get to see the Prowler's Udyr, but we do get to see the Prowler's Renekton. And that champion, whenever he gets on a carry character, will just start obliterating them. We do see Aatrox coming back with the Eclipse now as well, so is going to finish that Mythic. And I'm also drawn to looking at Raven's Varus here, deciding to pick up the Kraken Slayer, which is not an item choice I see very often here, going to be paired with the Rage Blade. They're saying, I'm not going to feel threatened in this game, I'm just gonna auto and kill everyone that I put my eyes on.
That could come back to bite them just a little bit if we do see Udyr and Aatrox getting strong enough to sit on Raven. They have the flash, they have the heal, not for long. Indelible Vi trying to come support that.
Yeah, and Nature's Grasp is not blocked for the Nami there, so it is going to be Nuxali going down once again. Bulldog is here to reinforce, and the
Ooh.
piercing arrow is going to pierce the heart of Riprox, taking down that Udyr. That was a lot of damage.
And they thought they had Raven and were able to run at him, but that was all Rip Rocks could do. Use the Ghost, got the stun, but this Vera still had both of their summoner spells up. Not anymore, but crucially, they still lost the fight. We Strike First not wanting to give up any kind of space here. Even though they've lost Nami and lost their Udyr, they still want to fight this out.
And even though the brawl is happening in the mid lane, look on the top side of the map. This is a early 21-minute two-man Baron sneak, and it looks like We Strike First have no idea that it's
They're
happening.
about
Just a
to now.
Festive now finally popping the vision plant there, but Riprox is not there in time.
Ooh!
Spaxi even hooked in. The Baron Nashor is claimed. An incredible sneaky play from the side of TDS. Now, are they going to be able to get out for their lives? It looks like they even want the fight. The tidal wave is not going to hit, but Festive is there with the flash engage. Blazeheart on 1 HP flashes out to survive their indelible, and the next target in their sights, Riprox going in. Bulldog trying to engage, but the piercing arrow comes through once again, and that's indelible flashing forward with the twisted advance. It's going to knock down Riprox. Lafroggy trying to fight, does find the pickup, but the reinforcements are there. That's 4 members of We Strike First going down. Baron picked up, and a huge push about to come out for the side of TDS.
That just went from bad to worst for We Strike First. It felt like they lost a member early on. Noxali hit the grave. And after that, We Strike First, they had no idea about the Baron. Once they got vision, it was too late and lost that major objective, but they did not want to lose the fight. We Strike First continued to run at them, committing Festive Flash, committing these other resources, the tidal wave coming through, but it was not enough. They lost more kills, more gold, and across the map, this is now a devastating disadvantage for We Strike First to be in.
Absolutely devastating, and I am loving the confidence from this team that we are seeing. Gets one pick there right after 20 minutes and immediately says we're going to commit people to start a two-man Baron sneak. Takes the Baron, but is not afraid of the fight after either, even though they've taken some damage getting that objective, saying that we can just fight better, kiting back immaculately and picking up the team fight
Oh,
win. And here
Blazeheart.
they're looking middle again. Blazeheart doesn't manage to quite hit the hook this time, but with this third dragon, you imagine it must be going over to TDS's side once again.
We Strike First just needs to scale. Riprock's the only member on their team with 2 completed items. Let me take that back. Festive as well has hit this. So those 2 melee champions in the top side both have 2 items, but Victor and Ezreal, your key damage dealers, are still on 1, and now they might be caught out.
Yeah, they're wanting to trade the mid tower there, but here is the battle song getting the fight started. Lafroggy on 1 HP dueling Blazeheart here. Meanwhile,
Festive.
Festive is getting onto Raven, who's been left out to dry a bit. Froggy is at least going to get picked back up by Azumo, and now it is Festive trying to do all the work. Azumo getting the Nami there up on the top side once more. A triple kill coming out for this Renekton, as now we have members barreling down the mid lane, whereas Bulldog is here on the bot side after bullying out Spaxi, is getting ready to take this inner tower.
That was just a 4v4 team fight, and both top laners try to carry it for their team, but Festive now also going down, and another team fight win and another pickup for TDS Academy.
Yeah, Festive flying a little too close to the sun there, trying to hold on to that mid lane inner tower in a 1v3, but Azumo knows the capabilities of their champion, goes forward directly with the Prowler's Claw, and gets the pickup with the assistance of Blazeheart.
And Izumo now 1,000 gold if you can shut down that champion. Just dropped to 950, but still so far ahead, and so much damage from that player. Just got a triple kill in the last team fight. Renekton is about the strongest that you're going to see them for the rest of this game. Prowler's Claw plus that Blade of the Ruined King. There are no members on We Strike First that can survive that onslaught. And now it's going to be a matter of how can We Strike First continue to scale and get to these 2 and 3 item points, because LaFroggy and Spaxi, these champions are so far behind their counterparts on the other side, and Festive cannot do it alone.
Yeah, and the difference really here is coming from the mid and the bot lane. For all the work that Renekton has been putting in, Festive here on the Aatrox actually very slightly ahead in gold, even given the current game state, but mid and bot has been just a bit of a disaster. But Riprox here trying to get picked off, the Chain of Corruption
Oh,
barely missing, and the Ghost also allowing them to dodge the hook from Blazeheart.
the Baron's fallen off, but I still don't think there's a fight available. They're in the mid lane trying to get pressure down, but no objectives for another minute and a half when the Baron hits the map. 2:30 until TDS Academy's soul spawns. I expect both teams to want to be fighting around the dragon before they attempt the Baron, but already Izumo is kind of sitting around in a bush on the side. Riprox now sees Blazeheart, but I think any fight that We Strike First tries to take will be a disaster for them unless they can get a pick earlier on.
Yeah, most certainly. The gold advantage now almost 3,000 in the mid lane and nearing 4,000 there in the bot lane. This Varus hitting 3 items, a complete menace to anyone that they are going to be autoing. And yes, for the Dragon Soul coming up in 2 minutes, we have to think that that is what TDS is holding out for as their win con.
We'll have to see if that is going to be something that they can at least slow down. But again, Riprock's the only frontline member, and Festive the main damage dealer at this crucial point in the game. All 4 of these 5 members down the bot lane, and Bulldog doesn't have a wave but is hitting topside. Also, this Kassadin, 1 level away from that crucial level 16 power spike.
Yeah, Bulldog really wanting to get this final outer turret here. I do really like the look from We Strike First here, wanting to trade back across the map. It is Blazeheart trying to play a little bit of interference, but the members of TDS here already just going directly onto that second Baron. We do have some of these bounties coming through as this 4 stack from We Strike First still continuing to push, but they got scared off by the Baron take. The members of TDS are going to get back in time. It's unlikely that We Strike First are going to be caught here, but with only 50 seconds left before the dragon, I don't know that they'll have the chance to go back and spend the gold for all the bounties that they just pick up, and we know that TDS are going to be sprinting straight towards this objective.
There is genuinely about 7,000 gold of unspent between these 5 players of We Strike First. 1,900 on Udyr, 1,700 on the Ezreal, another 1,000 on these other members. Gratefully, Spaxi at least got it off, but even this Noxali support Nami, 1,200 gold in their inventory here. So if they don't just back off, it looks like they're giving up the soul. So they have to spend, but now it's going to be trying to defend against a Baron and an Ocean Soul, and this just feels near impossible if you're We Strike First.
It is such a tall task. I like that they looked for the income there in the bottom lane to try and trade back, but the reset timer just was not there for them. A 7,000 gold deficit normally and another 7,000 gold in their pockets would have made any fight virtually impossible to take. And now it's the members trying to get out. But here's Blazeheart looking onto Spaxi. Early flash force out, but the rocket grab still catches them out. Blazeheart here again getting another pick for their team.
Riprock still sitting on 2,100 gold in
And the
inventory.
Noxali! Yeah, hits Noxali there. This poor Nami getting bullied over and over in this game by the Blitzcrank. Just absolute cannon fodder for the side of TDS, and they are looking now for this mid lane tower. A nice buffer from Froggy, helping saving her life there, but the inhib is in their sights. It looks like this push is not going to stop. TDS now turning their attention to the bot lane, wanting to grab a second inhib tower inhibitor.
Still 1 minute left on this Baron buff. Those minions are going to stay strong and keep pushing in. They are in a 4-1 setup with the Renekton topside. Blazeheart just fishing for hooks and the team sieging on. Raven doing so much damage.
Yeah, I love this setup here. Renekton pretty much able to solo anyone he wants in this unit of 4 in the mid lane, unassailable, and with Ocean Soul as well. Now it's Riprox grabbing getting grabbed, and Festive trying to turn it around. Does hit two great sweet spots onto Raven, but the damage is just not there. Azumo is going past the Nexus towers to die for the kill here, and now Festive is in a 1v4, just unable to survive the shutdown, finally coming onto the Renekton after diving virtually into the fountain, and now Bulldog picks up the Nami as well. An early surrender coming out. Just a class act performance from TDS here. Absolute domination this first game.
Yeah, and after those first couple of kills that Rip Rocks picked up on the map, I was worried for how we were going to see TDS Academy scale, but scale they did. What a great performance in that mid game from Bulldog and Raven on the Varus, and ultimately Blazeheart 0, 0, and 14. A perfect KDA for that player. An absolute clinic on how to land those hooks and get the picks that they needed.
Yeah, saw the immobile champions in Victor and Nami and absolutely made sure that they were punished for those selections, helping secure so many advantages and so much pressure through just his presence in the bot lane as well, making sure that Caston and Varus were able to just get their number on these lane opponents, securing such a great lead early on.
Yeah, and after they got behind, We Strike First had no way to strike second. Yes, they were able to strike first into First Blood, but ultimately, after that, it felt like domination across the Rift. That early sneaky Baron was a big piece of that potato that you spotted out there even before the enemy team saw it on the map. It felt like that was a huge turning point for TDS Academy, and with the pressure of that Baron and the scaling from these champions, they were able to take that first game all the way to the end.
Yeah, I just loved the playstyle from TDS here, having absolute confidence in their abilities and in their picks, executing to their win conditions, having creative plays around the map to force the pressure onto the enemy. It was a clinic in this first game, and we'll have to see what We Strike First can do to try and stabilize in game two.
Yeah, we are going to take just a very quick moment to reset and get ready for game number two. It'll be quick, so don't go anywhere. In just a moment, we'll be getting into game two of We Strike First versus TDS Academy. We are just moments away from the champion select for game number 2 of this matchup on season 14 style esports between We Strike First and TDS Academy. In case you forgot, my name is Llama. Along with me today is All Out Potato. The sides have swapped, but TDS Academy has come to the second game with a 1 game advantage.
Yeah, and it was a very convincing game one from TDS Academy there, finding big leads on both of the carry characters there in the mid and bot lane and closing out the game. I really liked some of the creative plays that we saw from both teams in that first game. The early Baron from TDS and trading towers in exchange for a dragon and for the second Baron by We Strike First when I knew that they couldn't fight successfully.
Yeah, absolutely. And it felt like there were great responses as well. Yeah, We Strike First was able to do some creative things around that third dragon, like you had named, and getting the inner tower topside. And then felt like even after they might have lost the Baron, they were still looking for some aggressive plays. There were some kind of creative angles and some pickoffs as well. But ultimately, on the back of Blazeheart's hooks, it felt like that was really the difference maker in so many of these team fights and denied We Strike First the opportunity to allow their top side when they were ahead to carry the game. And it was Spaxi and Lafroggy who were not able to hit critical mass and get to the point where their champions were strong enough to carry that game. Now moving into the second game already, we're seeing that Cassidon getting banned away from Bulldog was too much of a menace on the Rift in game one.
Yeah, and the Blitzcrank going too, and that makes complete sense to me. Blitzcrank really holding the value in the previous game there. And in this game too, I would like to see the mid and bot stabilize a little bit. Pick something that is able to hold your own a little more in lane. And wow, we see the Ashe first pick right away, something that was banned away in the first game.
Yeah, We Strike First actually was the team to ban that too. And now when they have first pick on the blue side, they've opted to leave it open and pick it for themselves. Tristana was a common ban between both of these games, and TDS Academy has not deviated at all. So that means no deviation. Let's go back to the Maokai here because that champ is still open and still dominated in that first game.
Yeah, the Maokai certainly something that had a great impact in that first game. The Nature's Grasp setting up so many of those team fights and helping find picks on some of the enemies characters. But yeah, Ash here, not something that I see as a first pick very often. I'm interested to see what kind of build they go. Looking at the history of Lafroggy, it doesn't seem like a champion that they particularly enjoyed playing all that much in the previous season. So I wonder if this might be going to Noxley's side, or I'm curious to
Yeah.
see what the prio on this is for.
It'll have to be interesting to see if it is Noxley piloting it. Maybe they'll hold that till the second half. But you're right, it does have some flexibility. We have seen Ashe support rising in prevalence now. With the Kaisa locked in, that's most likely going to be the marksman choice. But we'll have to see. Back to Victor for the mid laner here. It's got to think that Spaxi just did not have the best laning phase and thinks that that champion is what that team needs. So we'll have to see if We Strike First in the second game, we'll be able to find success with that Victor pickup.
Yeah, Cassidon now taken out, so no longer available as a response to this Victor. So we're going to have to see what else Bulldog is able to bring to the matchup. Kaisa here, I'm quite
Oh,
liking actually an aggressive ADC, and we see that it is going to be Ashe ADC here as the Thresh is chosen as the pairing.
and Thresh, a very different kind of champion than what Noxali played in the first game with that Nami. This provides some great pick potential. It also can provide the lantern for safety and reposition in team fights. I mean, it's also a great response into Blitzcrank, but because they banned the Blitzcrank, I guess they're the one who wants to have the hook in this matchup here. But Morgana, what a classic counter to that Thresh matchup. That block shield can block so much of the onslaught from We Strike's first bot lane.
Yeah, not just the Thresh, but the Ashe too. This Enchanted Crystal Arrow, an excellent pick tool for finding plays around the map. and Morgana is going to be looking to shut that down, offering a bit of CC as well to get the Kaisa stacks going. I'm quite liking this team comp from TDS already, with the lockdown potential and the dive from Kaisa available onto these immobile squishy carries. But we strike first here. The Thresh Lantern is always available for repositioning, and Ashe Victor, these are champions that can get going later on in the game.
Absolutely, they can if they get the scaling needed. We saw last Friday, I think it was Potato, with the Ash pickup in one of those games that opted for the attack speed build. We'll have to see if that's the build that we will see LaFroggy going in this bot lane matchup, or if they look for something like the, more of the Arcane Comet. But a lot of these Bruiser boys in the second half of bans getting banned away, and I'm not surprised because both Ash and Kaisa don't love trying to shred through tanky frontline members.
Yeah, and the bans on the second half, Aatrox is left open for Festive, so we'll see if he decides to return to that pick. It's certainly a bright spot for We Strike First team last time around, finding a gold lead onto the Renekton despite the Renekton's significant kill advantage and ending with the most damage in the game in all of those team fights. But it is going to be the Rise picked up for TDS Academy.
Feels like TDS Academy's mid laner Bulldog just knows the meta and knows what is best in that lane right now. This is another one of those premier pick ban champions, even at the very, very top of the competitive scene right now. And Bulldog has played 3 games of it so far this season, won 2 of them, and so has found success. The only champion that they played more was Caston, which was Ban, and Kennen, which they've opted to not pull out in this game. So definitely a champion that they have won games on and has some comfortability in piloting it. Don't see anything from last season on Bulldogs champ pool, so likely a new pickup. But this champion can be really strong if used effectively.
Yeah, absolutely it can be, and the point and click route also such a good tool into setting up ganks, especially with this rather immobile Victor here in the mid lane could potentially be very vulnerable to these Rise Maokai ganks. But it's going to be Amumu and Gnar rounding out the team comp for We Strike First.
You really like this heavy engage style with a Mumu and Gnar, both of their ultimates. Such great crowd control, lockdown, and engage. Something that We Strike First did not have great tools of in the last game. Felt like the Nami wave was kind of that primary engage, and then Udyr just running and ghosting at you was kind of all they had. But having the Curse of the Sad Mummy and that Mega Gnar will be great lockdown. But Olaf, that's one champion that you can't lock down.
No, you cannot lock down, and I love this pick actually. With all the CC that We Strike First is bringing, it is a champion that can absolutely run people over. Ashe Victor, champions without mobility, are things prime targets for extending the Ragnarok duration. The only thing I would have liked to see in addition to that is some kind of move speed buffing support, but of course that was picked earlier, so Olaf will have to be self-sufficient on his own mobility, but something that can definitely be very, very terrifying on the Rift.
Yeah, and it definitely has the chance to be very aggressive in the top lane, as where I expect that Olaf to go. But Gnar, when that's mini Gnar, does have the range advantage. And so if this top lane is able to get some of that damage down, Festive shown that they can be successful, actually kind of had a gold lead for most of that lane. So I want to see if Gnar's going to be able to use those boomerangs and the auto attacks to chunk down Olaf before Olaf reaches critical mass. Because once that Ragnarok comes through, does not matter how much CC you throw at him. If he's smacking you down with those axes, he's not getting controlled by any CC at all. So I expect to see Gnar hopefully abusing this early matchup, but you're right, it is a great pick into that crowd control that all of We Strike First is drafted.
Yeah, and both top laners do have a lot of potential here. Should Gnar find the lead that he wants, it's going to be a side lane menace, and of course, can be an absolutely game-changing ultimate in these big team fights. Olaf similarly can take over a side lane, draw resources to him, win these 1v2, 3, even 4 sometimes if he's ahead enough, and also just directly steamroll through the team comp in these team fights.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned those team fights as well, because in that last game, Potato, it felt like there weren't too many just straight up 5v5 fights. some of the skirmishes felt like it was players getting caught out from that rocket grab. Blitzcrank was kind of the playmaker in fights, and fights were so short that there wasn't a whole lot of 5v5 even possible. So I'll hope to see. I think We Strike First has decided to really draft much more of a team fighting composition. Looking at all five of these members, once they hit that critical mass 20, 25 minutes in, that's where I want to see We Strike First starting to get for team fights, because in 5v5s, I think they have the advantage in this draft.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to how the lockdown abilities are going to be used here. Can we find good arrows around the map? Will we see some good hooks and repositioning ability from Naxali here onto their vulnerable carries? Can Amumu find those crucial lockdown abilities? And on the side of TDS, can their carries stay safe enough? Will the Black Shield come through to block these crucial abilities? Can Olaf find access to the team that he needs?
Yeah. And TDS Academy, as I look at these champions, there's so much ability power. Rise and Morgana, 100% ability power. Maokai as well, nearly 100%. Kaisa, mixed damage, and Olaf is that only AD threat. Does provide a little bit of true damage, but even that undertow is still going to be magic damage. So if you look at We Strike First, they gotta be itemizing a lot of magic resist. Something like an Abyssal Mask for a Mumu could be so valuable in this game, as well as, I mean, Mercury Treads. If these players do not have Mercury Treads here, they, I think, need to sell whatever boots they got and switch them over, because those dark bindings, right? The Essence Flux and the lockdown from Rise, the Nature's Grasp, all of these abilities have so much hard CC, and if it lands and you're not moving, you're going to be shredded down. So we'll have to see how they can itemize We Strike First. How We Strike First can itemize into TDS Academy here, because I think the damage spread is not quite as even as you'd typically want it.
Yeah, absolutely agree there. It looks like Mercury Treads can be a game warping item here into the magic damage and lockdown that TDS are bringing. But we'll see if TDS is able to find success nonetheless, and whether this will look more like a repeat of game one, or if We Strike First can bring back something new for game two.
We'll have to see. So get those channel points in. The prediction is live. We are just a couple minutes away from our game number 2 between We Strike First and TDS Academy. So vote with those points, and we will see you on the short side of this break. players have locked in, the champions are set, the casters are thirsty and ready for some action. It is time for game number 2 between We Strike First and TDS Academy.
Ready for some action indeed, and we see some early wards coming out on the side of We Strike First. Neither team choosing to invade. I would have maybe liked to see something from TDS here, given that they have Morgana and Olaf, two champions that are very, very potent in this level 1, but both teams opting for safety.
Yeah, if they're not invading with a blitz crank, when Blazeheart took the blitz and this team didn't invade, I'm not surprised to see them not playing aggressively in this composition. But even Noxali having that thresh, opting not to look aggressive, all of We Strike First just playing safely around here. So not too much action, but also the prediction is still live. So if you haven't got your channel points in, you still got about 30 seconds. There's no first blood. The game's still even. So I mean, we'll have to see both junglers, though, starting on the bot side of the map.
Yep, going to be pathing from the same side. And we see here Azuma once again opting for no teleport, going for the Ghost Flash instead on Olaf, looking for maximum mobility on that champion.
We will have to see if that comes back to bite them in the top lane already. It seems like Festive just not really approaching the lane, not looking to get the early pressure on Izuma with these minions. So both junglers, when they're pathing up and looking for the full clear, we saw that skirmish in the top side that really decided the fate of the top lane. But in game 1, it was We Strike First getting the better of it. We'll have to see if both these junglers look to fight topside right around the same time this game.
Yeah, really giving a lot of respect here. Mininar's base stats quite low, so certainly can be vulnerable to a CC lockdown chain from a Maokai gank here. But overall, things starting up fairly calm in this early game. Just a little bit of trading across the map.
Yeah, Lofroggy already, even just a couple waves, does have a CS advantage, so I'm glad to see that. Blazeheart and Raven now hitting level 2 themselves. But it's good to see Lofroggy not losing too much CS early on. Izumo not afraid to throw out some of these undertows and Festive getting close to gnarring out. We'll have to see. This lane looks already like not as much health as you'd want Festive to have.
Yeah, and Mininar just so vulnerable there. The undertows landing will make it rather difficult. But yeah, Naxali and the Froggy getting the push this time does afford them a much better time CSing, Ash using some of the range advantage here to try and make that happen. So certainly going a lot better than we saw in that first game.
And Blazeheart, we've seen them have this razor-like precision on these skill shots. It was a rocket grab in game 1, and now in game 2, they have the Dark Binding. So we'll have to see if they're going to be able to land these linear skill shots as well onto those key targets. Lafroggy without any cleanse, and of course without like any way to reduce with tenacity yet. We'll have to see, because a couple of those dark bindings, that's a couple of seconds that they are rooted. And so Lafroggy will not be moving for a while if they get hit by one of those from Blazeheart.
Yeah, Dark Bunny certainly locking down for a very, very long time, and neither ADC taking cleanse here, despite being a very, very heavy CC comp on both sides. So we'll see if that ends up biting them later on. Both junglers were hovering topside earlier, but it's Maokai coming for the first return gang. That's going to be a free twisted advance, and Azuma is going to easily pick up first blood from that move.
Yeah, Rip Rocks, like you said, was also up in the top side and didn't seem like a play was there, but Festive, terrible lane state, was not able to get the wave crash. And Indelible 6 came back up and got the free kill.
Yeah, and it really came down to the clear there. Amumu Riprox here actually able to finish all 6 camps while Maokai was still on 5. So looked early on there for the top lane, saw the wave was
Maybe it's
put.
bot side.
Yeah, but he is bot side now, and the hook lands onto Blazeheart. The Black Shield coming out late there, forcing the flash, but now it's going to be Raven in their sights. The slow coming in from the Ash. Both
Oh.
summoners expended, and Riprock's the last head bop going to take it down. That's 3 summoners down onto the bot side, and 1 kill picked up. A nice early start for a second game here from Riprox.
And look at this wave management. Very well done from Lafroggy and Noxali. After getting that kill, they freeze that wave outside of tower. And now with the last hits and killing Raven on that Kaisa, they don't have summoner spells. They don't have a wave. And if they can hold this freeze, it's going to be great for We Strike First in the bot lane.
Yeah, really intelligent wave decision here. The wave is in a perfect place to punish, but also unable to get that reset. I would have liked to see it ideally maybe trimmed a little bit more so that they can go back and shop with some of that early money. So it's going to be Kaisa here actually with the item advantage for a while in lane, despite going down early.
Yeah, you're right that it does mean that Lafroggy still needs to get a back timer off. And it is Riprox who picked up that first blood. So, or that first kill for the bot side. It was not first blood this game. But, you know, an Amumu with gold is less valuable than having your Ashe with the gold. But it does mean that once again, Riprox is going to be off to an early advantage.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they will happily take that nonetheless as we start getting second rotations here for the junglers.
Yep, and once again, Riprox has opted to not get that reset off yet either, opting for an entire second clear before resetting. It means that it's a little bit longer before they get off the map, but now 1800 gold once again. They really like this kind of second full clear before getting a reset, which just makes your second clear a lot slower, but they are going to get back on the map for their red buff spawn momentarily. The Cloud Dragon, the first one on the map, and it does look like already Raven and Blazeheart looking to establish some vision down there, but Maokai on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, they do seem like they want these early objectives. The Hawkshot is going to check it, make sure that nothing is going to be taken. A great hook from Nexali actually going onto Raven early there, but Ash just does not have the sufficient damage, still sitting on just a Doran's Blade, meaning that Raven's actually going to get the advantage here. Ash getting dangerously close to going down actually, but is going to barely survive still. And now Maokai once again hovering around this top lane, but the wave nowhere near as favorable as before.
Yeah, and crucially, these junglers do not have their level 6 yet. Bulldogs moved down and found Rip Rocks.
Found him, he has, and Victor is going to be a little slow on this move. Bulldog is going to make sure that the Scuttle Crab is not taken, making a Moo back off there as the rest of the members start heading down. There's priority here in the mid lane and the bot lane of We Strike First here, going to have to take a reset as Maokai is around here. Doesn't look like he wants to go for the dragon just quite yet like he did in game one, but now they're heading over.
And with Lafroggy's first reset, has opted to match the tier 2 boots, but cloak of agility as the other item they've picked up, as well as a refillable potion and a pink ward. I don't know if my math's right there, Potato, but I think that's almost as much as you could get a pickaxe there. So opting for some critical strike chance instead of a pickaxe, so it's still going to be lacking some damage in this bot lane.
Yeah, and Ash may be looking for the shield bow here, which could be why they didn't opt for that pickup. And I have to say, for all the champions to pick up a cloak here, Ash might be the least bad one, because at least you do get some scaling damage with your passive there from crit chance. So it feels a little bit less bad than picking up straight 80, but certainly still a bit of an unconventional choice.
It does mean that they are coming back into this lane with more just raw damage than Raven and Blazeheart do at this point. There is going to be level 6s coming in for uh, We Strike Versus side already as well. TDS Academy is yet to get level 6 for Blazeheart now. So there's a very small window where they have an ultimate advantage, but not looking like they're going to be playing into that advantage now. And likely Blazeheart going to hit 6 momentarily, and it makes these team fights quite a bit more challenging. So Amumu says, I don't want anything to do with bot side. I'm just going to start up the Herald instead.
Yeah, Morgana being there just makes it so difficult. Normally you can hit level 6 on Ashe, look for a surprise arrow while we have the level lead, but with any sort of decent reaction time, Blazeheart is going to make sure that that is simply not a possibility for a play. And
With the
now Indelible maybe trying to look for another gank here.
Yeah, the Herald going down, that is a global call out. And so Indelible 6 does know that Amumu is on the top side. With Nature's Grasp available, has opted to move into the bot side, but decides there's going to be nothing there, just resets for a Blasting Wand.
Yeah, it does start getting these buys in, and there's a lot of jungle to clear on the top side as well. We see Gnar getting a reset now. down a significant amount of farm against this Olaf, which really has had the lane domination in the second game.
And I thought this was going to be a lane that Festive was going to be able to show their domination in after playing so well in game number one in the Aatrox versus Renekton matchup. But it is Izumo who has not only received the CS lead, has the kill as well themselves, and does have a 1300 gold advantage for this Olaf, which is a big, big advantage to have over Gnar only 10.5 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely, fairly significant there, and it could just be Nard trying to respect the early potency of Olaf here. But now Kais is going to get off the back, picks up two of those AD components, looking to get started towards the Q evolve there, which is such a power spike for that champion.
Yeah, because you double the amount of Qs that go into the enemy, and there is so much damage in that ability as it's the first ability that Kaisa maxes. So that is going to give there's currently 63 out of 100 bonus attack damage right now. Again, 100 is where you get that evolve on Q. So we'll have to see with this damage number, and now LaFroggy being down a gold buy. Riprox is here, so they have numbers advantage. Will they be able to make a play happen in this small timer?
Yeah, they can try here. Morgana is temporarily split. A flash bandage toss, not quite going to hit, but Morgana is very isolated here. The second ability goes on. The arrow is going to miss. Now, Blazeheart is going to be the target, but a big Morgana ulti is going to ward off the kill there. Three members unable to quite find it into the bot lane of TDS.
Yeah, not quite patient enough from Froggy to get their CC to layer with all of the crowd control that Rip Rocks and Noxali pulled out in the bot lane. But they do get a Herald drop at top lane. It means that Festive forced to flash. Maokai is here. We'll see if they try to dive topside. But some great plates, at least, in the bot side for We Strike First.
Yeah, some good matching plays on opposite sides of the map. Despite TDS's bot lane living, the Herald Gold is certainly welcome, and continued great play from Izumo there is going to pressure Nara away, potentially force out the TP here early.
Yep, and there's the TP coming down and is forced to come back to catch this double wave that has crashed, but the CS lead has only grown here, Potato. Now nearly 40 CS difference between these two top laners. A little bit less than that after Festive does pick up some of those minions, but not the place you want to be at in this range versus melee matchup, especially with a champion like Izumo, because we saw what that Croc could do in game one, and I expect this character to be able to pilot it the same way in the second game.
Yeah, and the Stride Breaker's so scary out here too. But I am happy to see that Spaxy and Froggy here in the second game are able to equal out a lot more. The victor here much more on CS parity with Bulldog's Rise, and the Ashe here also being able to hold on much better into the bot lane of TDS.
And it does make such a difference because in game number one, Festive and Riprocks were kind of the only hope to carry through that game. But as you named, Spaxy and LaFroggy still getting their gold that they need. Bulldog has completed the Rod of Ages, and we do not see the Luden's Echo for Spaxy yet. There's going to be a fight bot side, though, and we'll see if they have the damage. And Delable just forced to flash out.
Yeah, and an early flash from the Maokai here, and a teleport coming in from Bulldog. This is likely going to be the first big team fight of the game. Neither top laner likely to join anytime soon. Olaf is going to have to walk directly, and the teleport was already
Nature's
extended
Grasp.
from the Nard. An early hook out is going to catch Blazeheart, and the arrow is going to go on to Indelible as well. We do have at least a trade back onto Spaxy, but now Bulldog is here. A great hook once again onto Raven. Raven flashing to try and find the follow. A wonderful ulti, but the CC chain is available here now. But here comes Olaf. It's going to be Azumo running down. The first target axe landing onto Froggy and cut down for number two there. The Lantern not quite coming in time, walking all the way from base, but does find his time's worth picking up that double.
Yeah, we thought that neither top laner was going to be even present for that fight with Izumo just leaving the base and Festive not having teleport. But Izumo just ran down there on Olaf and actually made that fight way closer than it had any business being. The dragon picked up from We Strike First, but the kills critically now, two of those onto Izumo in the top lane, and recovered that play for TDS Academy.
Yeah, it would have been a bit of a disaster otherwise, but already much, much better team fighting coming out from We Strike First compared to the previous game. I have to commend Naxali here, finding two excellent hooks in that fight to make sure it went into the favor of their team, and a very impressive CC chain there onto the Kaisa on the tail end of it to make sure that the ultimate did not see value. But yes, Olaf showing up in time makes the play salvageable.
Still, lots of summoner spells were used in that exchange, primarily key flashes on these immobile targets. Spaxi, Lafroggy, both these characters, as well as Noxali, all burning those flashes in that last fight. And in the bot lane as well, we saw Raven using the flash and ultimate aggressively there. And even Indelible 6 did not have, or use their flash, so don't have theirs either. So we'll have to see. These are immobile characters without flashes and lots of crowd control available. We'll have to see if that means any kills here before the next dragon spawns, because that's the timer when these flashes come back off cooldown.
Yeah, 3 minutes left until the previous dragon, and with a lot of the flashes expended at the dragon, I do expect we'll see most of these come back unless they're really early to the play. But instead, now it's going to be the second Rift Herald in the eyes of Indelible. Amumu is around here in the area.
Oh, the
Bulldog has
Meganar.
the first move. Yeah, Meganar is here. The CC chain goes on to Bulldog to get things started. Nature Scrap is going to be expended, but Azumo is here from the top side. The Narbar is expiring here, so the fighting power is going to go down by a lot, and it looks like it is going to be TDS maintaining control of this Herald area.
And Riprox recognizes that as well and decides to just move on to his own Raptors. Does not want anything to do with his Rift Herald. Anywhere that Azumo is, you will lose if you are We Strike First. So with plates being down, this Herald has less value, but it will be the second Herald now claimed from TDS Academy.
Yeah, and we'll see what kind of value they're able to get with it. Will they be able to crack some sort of tower? Blazeheart trying to aggress a little bit onto Froggy there, but taking a bit of HP back in response. Meanwhile, We Strike First just opting to trade a bit of gold around the map for the Herald.
Riprox is hovering around and maybe wants to get some kind of force onto Blazeheart, but without knowledge of where the other members of TDS are, it is going to be a play they are not able to take. Riprox over a ward, but here comes the Realm Warp.
Yeah, the Realm Warp coming in, Blazeheart in their sights, but the Zonias is going to stop it. The Bandage Toss misses, and that means Nexali is going to go down too. The kill fed into Kaisa, double kill. Now Bulldog's flash traded for Riprox's. The tower falling, but two going down on the other side as a trade. A great Realm Warp play from Bulldog there.
Yeah, Bulldog bringing in both Raven and himself into the play. Riprox is not done.
No, he's not. A Black Shield is going to keep Morgana alive, though, and this looks like it's going to be a third kill going over to Raven, unless the Moo moves. Oh my, that was maybe more than I was expecting from that champion. A big shutdown coming in for Riprox, and he's ready for round two. Another Bandage Toss, not quite going to hit, and it looks like both sides are going to disengage now. Second Herald drop down to the mid lane to take this tower.
Riprox able to knock the socks off of Raven in the bot lane. That was an amazing, I mean, that fight was back and forth. The only reason why Amumu won it was because of this tantrum cooldown. If you didn't know, every time Amumu was hit by an attack, the ability's cooldown is reduced by nearly an entire second. Because Riprox was taking minions there, that E was nearly on a 0-second cooldown and got an extra 2 or 3 off in that fight. So as Amumu, fighting within the minion wave was to that champion's advantage, and ultimately took Raven down and got a 4th kill for themselves as this Amumu. Riprox once again shown that they can be the carry and the leader for this team.
Yeah, some absolutely five-head play there, surprising us all with that takedown. But now it's time for this third dragon. We do see some key flashes still down. Riprox already wanting to start it early, but Curse of the Sad Mummy is not available. Nature's Grasp going to use early, not any picks to be found. Now Indelible is getting locked down by himself. The flash forced out away, and now all 5 members of both teams here. But another engage from Riprox. It's going to be Indelible going down, but the catch onto Izumo, this crucial member just out of HP here, trying to survive with a bit of a shield, but Festive is in there in the action, trying to find Blazeheart. The Blast Cone is going to survive. Now LaFroggy and Raven dueling. This
Oh!
Kai'Sa just has so much attack speed, but the final volley is going to give a triple kill to the Ashe as well as the trade there. Now it's 3 members still alive for We Strike First, but only Rise up for TDS. A big team fight victory.
This was the team fighting that we wanted to see when this draft was locked in from We Strike First, and they delivered on this third dragon. Absolutely amazing team coordination. I was worried that Rip Rocks, after falling so early without the ultimate available, was going to spell disaster, but ultimately Festive landing the Gnar on the back line, critically killing out Izumo, the key carry for TDS Academy, and this second dragon was rightfully claimed from We Strike First.
Yeah, just excellent play. Rip Rocks with the confidence there to just let Rip onto Indelible, taking him down to 10% HP and forcing the flash well before the actual fight commenced. And then Azumo just losing all the health there. Such a key member for TDS's success there, but unable to find it. And that gave the space for the carries to find the kills. That triple kill going over to Ashe there, really putting them into the game and back onto parity with this Kai'Sa.
Yeah, LaFroggy went from 0, 3, and 4 to now 3, 3, and 4 with a 300 gold shutdown. LaFroggy was not able to find their footing in the first Ezreal game, but now she has found the kill, she has found the shutdown, she has found the gold, is down still, does not have that second item completed, but will on this reset. And now this is going to be that key target, those enchanted crystal arrows, but also those auto attacks can be the primary marksman damage for this We Strike First squad.
Yeah, and a very aggressive Ashe build here, going for the Kraken Slayer and the Phantom Dancer, maximizing this single target damage. No Hurricane come out here for the team-wide utility, but just saying I'm going to auto and not get hit.
Yep, and that is the goal for both of these carries, neither of them having a cleanse. There is a black shield for TDS Academy side. But LaFroggy, if they get hit by one of these bindings, could be 100-0 for them.
Absolutely could be. Such a mobile and fragile carry there, doesn't have the ultimate nor the E mobility that the Kai'Sa has on the opposing side. So certainly a little riskier to go here, but it looks like Spaxi is going to run into Izumo, and Izumo is happy to take advantage of this opportunity. Straight tower diving, surviving on so much health there. This Olaf found his way to a squishy carry and took no hesitation in cutting them down.
Yeah, Spaxi had the teleport in just a moment, so the team sent them to catch the side waves, but Izumo takes no prisoners. Just the Ragnarok the Ghost and just ran through Spaxi all the way under tower, even for his Victor's flash out. I mean, if you're a Victor, you cannot be matching this Olaf. The team fights worked well, but the side lane does not. Izumo, after taking the top outer tower onto the bot outer tower now, supported from Indelible 6, but means mid lane they can go.
Yeah, Riprox finding another key timer here. The arrow is going to be dodged once more by Raven's ultimate, so a great use there. Bulldog going into the mid lane. An early flash actually from the Amumu, but Nuxali once more engaging onto Bulldog, but the rest of the team disagrees. Maybe a little bit of miscoordination there as Thresh wanted the engagement but is left out to the remaining 3 members, and now it's Dragon going to be in 2 minutes and a lot of flashes down. Crucially, Spaxi not going to have access to that cooldown.
Froggy was not able to properly land their damage, but there's the another Q.
Yeah, another great find there, forcing
Oh
the
my
flash out
gosh.
from Raven, and another one down to 1 HP and is going to get shut down there. The demonic embrace burn finding the finish on the kill for that one. A good shutdown going over to Amumi. These bandage tosses landing pretty time and time again.
Yeah, really great play even without the Curse to Sad Mummy. LaFroggy's got to be able to get these arrows to follow up on this primary CC. Izumo now is here, the Nature's Grasp. Everyone stand behind this mummy.
Yep, Riprox taking it for the team there is going to get a bit of health back, so the engage is foiled, and he says, we want more. Once again, the chain going onto the Zumo, the
Oh,
arrow not quite landing, but a big curse of the Sad Mummy means that the members are going to start to go down. Olaf fighting desperately, trying to find Festive, isn't able to do so. Festive wants Bulldog there, does not find the stun. Bulldog gets the kill and the Realm Warp out of the end there, and now 3 members are going to be looking for this mid lane. The members of TDS are going to be reinforcing here. Spaxi trying to interrupt the base, isn't quite able to do so. Another hook onto Raven, but it's not going to be followed up on TD or We Strike First.
oh.
Just want the tower there. Raven wants to make a hero play, solo going in, but that surely was not it, as both Kaisa and Morgana go down to the damage of Lafroggy. Raven feeling a little bit too frisky there, and it's 20 seconds to the dragon. The bot laners will not be available. Bulldog is moving over, Indelible just spawned as well. You imagine this might just be We Strike First Dragon.
Yeah, and you see how much success this team can find when they are playing as a unit. The team moved together and moved forwards together, and because of that, they got the key kills. Bulldog, the only one in that exchange to not fall at all. This third dragon now looks like it will be claimed, the second mountain dragon for We Strike First. And this team composition that they've drafted in the second game is paying dividends for this composition.
Paying dividends it is, and even an intelligent hawk shot there to make sure that no Baron shenanigans were going on in exchange. But as I say that, it looks like the members of TDS are collapsing around the objective.
Yeah.
They do want to take this. Some members of We Strike First are in the area, but 2 have base. They're going to be late here. The
This
teleport
could
is
get
coming
clipped.
out from Spaxi,
No.
but Baron is starting to get a little bit low, half HP. It does look like the teleport was enough to ward the members off, but I do like that they were confident enough to look for that trade on the base timing, and now all 5 members of both teams wandering around this objective. Will it get started up once more? Gnar is mega now, and it seems like both teams are ready to disengage.
We Strike First has not established any vision, so it is all on TDS Academy, and here they go.
Yeah,
Here's the
nature
Ragnarok
craft
pop so
once
early, it's not going to
more.
mean anything.
Yeah, not going to find any members now, and those are
Oh!
2 big team fight cooldowns. Riprox finds a huge OT, but the rest of the team is a little bit far behind. Now the damage has come through. Lafroggy ready to hit. Bulldog going down. Delible going down. The Realm Warp going to get interrupted, so that means that's going to be Izumo going down as well. Festive wants to find the pick onto Blazeheart. There. Will it be there? Yes, another double kill for Lafroggy. Riprox here setting up his team for success.
An amazing 4-man Curse of the Sad Mummy landing onto the entire team. It feels like the issue that we saw from game number 1 when We Strike First did not have any kind of primary engage. In this game, there was no way aside from just running at them to get on top of We Strike First, but they disengaged. They were able to run away, and then when they were channeling through that choke point, Riprox just ripped it out like a Beyblade, let it rip, and just landed a massive Curse of the Sad Mummy onto the team and gave Bulldog their first death, wiped the fight, took the Baron, and now taken the second game into their hands.
Yeah, these successive team fights have really been off of the back of this Amumu here, finding so many great banish tosses and multi-man ultimates, and it looks like TDS just did not have the answer in response. These nature grasps not finding an equivalent amount of impact, with Riprox just casually standing in one of them to soak it, and his team is free to go for the rest of the fight.
They really were, and the Baron will be expiring prior to this fourth dragon, the soul, if it can be claimed from We Strike First. As they are back onto the rift now, they're going to be looking to try to get lane priority. Right now, all 5 members from We Strike First don't feel like they really know what to do with this Baron. Feels like they haven't been able to push out much anywhere yet. Riprox may be looking for a fight, but they've already got the mid lane outer tower. It's the top lane outer that should be a focus, as well as potentially the inner towers. Now looking like they're going to group into 4-1. Let's see if they can break some more towers while they still have the Baron available for 90 seconds.
Yeah, a little bit late, but late is better than never. Playing on 2 lanes here. We have the 4-man mid. Festive trying to find a
Too
bit of an
deep.
engage early on, but it's going to miss. Riprox is able to find the Curse of the Sand Mummy, though, and it is
Oh, goes
indelible
back
going
in.
down once again and finds it back onto Kaisa. Kaisa's able to ult to survive briefly, but now Blazeheart is the target. Is going to go down to the Ashe there, but here comes Izumo. What can he do? Engaging onto Festive, and the DPS from Ashe is not there, so this should be Olaf absolutely unleashed here. Riprox trying to solo find him, and the last auto from Thresh is going to be what gets it. Izumo saving it for his team, saving the tower and the team fight there. 1 minute until the next Drake, but a huge fight breaking out in the mid lane.
Festive had that Mega Gnar and looked for the engage, found a little bit onto Indelible 6, but that's not the target. After that, it felt like the rest of the team went one by one, looking under tower. Another great banish toss from Riprox landed onto Raven. Noxali does end up getting that inner tower, so it is worth there. And I thought that Izumo was going to easily clean up that fight, but actually there's an undertow. One of those axes was on the ground for so much time, and because of that they lost so much DPS in that 1v4. I thought they would wipe it up, but ultimately they fall as well. 20 seconds till the dragon. All 5 members are going to be on the map. This is a 5v5 that I'm still favoring we strike first in.
Yeah, but it looks like Thresh is going to be a little early there. The members of TDS not quite willing to engage, doesn't have enough information, and all the members are going to start collapsing. And Gnar here currently is fully mini, will need to build up that bar, starts hitting Raptors to do so. Riprox finding a bit of a CC onto Izumo, but
Patience.
it's just a bit of poke damage, not too much going on.
Oh.
Staxi onto the side there. These lasers are starting to sting a little bit, and we see there are a lot of items on key characters. Olaf at 3, but Riprox again
Oh.
finding the big damage, and Gnar from the back is going to absolutely slam everyone in the wall. But there is Olaf in the middle. Olaf and Raven trying to make this fight happen. Riprox trying to find Raven once more, and now it's going to be Olaf onto Noxali. A triple kill for the Olaf now looking for the Quadra. Is Riprox going to find it? Surely not here, as the item advantage and the champion advantage and the Ragnarok advantage here is going to put him on Rampage. And what a Rampage it is. And now Festive is the only member left trying to duel this Olaf once again. It's going to be the Maw proc, and that's going to be the
Oh.
Omnivamp proc, and ace. Izumo absolutely running over that fight despite what looked like a promising start for We Strike First.
Was an amazing fight, and they did strike first. Potato, the Mega Gnar over the wall, slammed him in. Thank you, ma'am. But after that, Izumo, you cannot run through this champion. Olaf, it might not have said pentakill, but every single one of those members fell to those axes of Izumo, picked up the unofficial pentakill, slaying all 5 members of We Strike First. And now, if you're We Strike First, that could have been your soul, but now they are forced to focus on this Olaf. If Olaf does not die, they cannot win. 1,000 gold, 4 completed items. Olaf is the player for all of TDS Academy that's holding them into this game.
Yeah, absolutely the key that is keeping them alive here. We Strike First do have the tools to strike first. They have a lot of engage, but they do not have a lot of PO. Victor and Ashe, these champions are not self-sufficient in keeping themselves alive into such a threat as Olaf. If there's not excellent positioning or a great clutch Thresh Lantern, these champions are easy pickings for the Olaf. And once they go down, We Strike First will rapidly start to run out of damage. And that's what we saw in the last fight. The initial burst was there, but the rest of the fight was not. Now, Riprox wanting to find a little bit more, but both teams have reinforcements there. They still decide not quite to fully engage just yet.
Spaxi does have a split push in the bot side, but now Riprox is going to be starting up in a 4v5.
Yeah, Riprox finding himself very isolated
Oh.
here. No flash available, but he
Oh.
does bandage toss the Baron, a 3-man Mega Gnar, but the follow-up is not there. Curse of the Sad Mummy
Here's
over the
team.
wall. This is such an awkward fight for both sides. Now, Riprox really isolated on the top side, while Izumo is isolated on the bot side, now wanting to run over Festive here. The Ragnarok does run out at the last moment there, but the Gnar is going to get picked up. Bulldog flashing over on low HP there to find the root and start the CC chain onto Spaxi. Spaxi. Spaxi is going to go down. Now, the members of TDS are going to turn and look at this Baron. It's just Thresh and Ashe left. The Go still available onto the Olaf, still unrelenting, wanting to chase for more and more. And now it's going to be TDS's Baron in sight. 3 members very low, though.
That was another 3-man slam by Nar into a 4-man Curse of the Sad Mummy. But the key member not in there was Izumo once again. That player was holding the entire rest of We Strike First at bay, and there was no other damage. Riprox only has 1 damage item, and Nar does have maybe 1.5 based on that build. And so there was not any way to shred through these targets. And ultimately, it was Izumo just holding the rest of the team off. And then Bulldog was able to flash forward and continue the fight. Now, we have seen TDS Academy claim this Baron. We'll have to see now the second Baron being claimed from this game. How will TDS Academy use it to try to close in on the base?
Yeah, and the ultimates looked impressive, but the follow-up was just not in position. Amumu finding himself very, very isolated against all 4 members. Festive wanting to help out there does find the big ultimate, but your key members, your damage are not available. Even Amumu was over the wall, able to contribute the ultimate, but nothing else afterwards, and that made the fight very easy for the members of TDS to close out on. Now it's Dragon in 1 minute, Soul Point still for the side of We Strike First. If they are able to claim it, it can help reverse their chances, as it seems like TDS is getting the upper hand now.
It does feel like now they have the gold advantage, they have the numbers advantage, they have a nearly maxed item Olaf 35 minutes in, 4 items on Rise, maxed out Rod of Ages, 3.5 on Kaisa. These champions are online. They are setting up a death bush just waiting for the Dragon Timer to tick down. And if any member of We Strike First face check is here, you better believe that we'll see TDS Academy collapse.
Yeah, and we'll see just how much patience they have. Both carries on the members of We Strike First, not quite in positioning yet. Victor just now resetting on the base timer here. 30 seconds to the dragon, no
So
teleport
patient.
available, so Spaxi will have to walk. But yes, the bush camp continues. Rise solo in the mid lane with the Baron, so neither team
I think
finding
that
much for
spotted
the
him.
push
It
with
didn't.
this big objective. Yeah, the blue trinket not quite enough vision range to find it. Dragon now spawning. Still 4 members sitting here. Will Spaxi go
Axie?
down here? Walking is going to die. That's an easy picking.
Oh,
Azuma
but they
goes
might get
legendary. But look
Bulldog.
at Bulldog in the mid lane. It could be mid laner for mid laner. Realm Warp is used, but the CC is there. Ashe gets the shutdown. Now Blazeheart is by themselves very early on, but there's Azuma. Ragnarok popped. What can he do?
Froggy?
LaFroggy now being targeted, does not have the ability to run away. Riprox trying to find Blazeheart there. Raven in the sights of Festive, but is just a little bit too far. It is still Izumo running down the rest of the backline, and this one Meganar is not able to close out the team fight for the remainder. Kaisa's still alive. The rest of the members still alive. It's going to be TDS taking this 3rd dragon.
Wow, they were so patient with that bush camp. Ultimately, Spaxi, the one who paid the ultimate price. After they got the 1 kill, Bulldog was the answer, and I thought for a moment We Strike First could fight out of it, but Izumo no Okuni, keep saying this guy's name, because another 2 kills in their pockets will be resetting for a full build on this Olaf, and I feel like there's not any way to deal with this. You have the Blade of the Ruined King on Ashe, and that's not going to be enough to shred through how tanky this Olaf has become.
Yeah, and in this past team fight, like the several team fights before it, Olaf just had free access into the backline. Ashe cannot kite away from this champion. It is just not possible. The move speed differential is too much. I would like to see in one of these crucial team fights here, Naxali playing Lantern duty, help reposition your carry, make it so that Olaf is unable to reach. We'll see if that is able to happen. But now Baron in 2 minutes, it's going to be another objective in the Ice game, going to 40 minutes already. Items getting close to completed for all the major characters, so it's just going to come down to team execution for these last few crucial fights.
And it is so successful for We Strike First, as you mentioned, when they can kite out this Olaf. We saw the fight that they won when they got their first Baron. It was as a result of waiting out the Nature's Grasp and kiting away from Izumo. When that Ragnarok was down, We Strike First was able to shred through the front line and play front to back. We need to see Rip Rocks and Festive being patient, kiting back, not diving on the back line, because that is not how you win these fights. You need to play as a team and hit the closest member and run away from them while you're doing it. And if they can do that, they still have the damage over time to shred through them here. Oh, meanwhile, looks like maybe Spaxy gonna get collapsed on the top side. All five members gonna get onto him in just a moment.
Yeah, Spaxy's certainly going to be dead here. Just the positioning is not
Oh,
available. We strike first, trying to trade in the mid lane. The flash there, a hope and a dream, but
oh
is
no.
not going to keep them alive. Now Nuxali is going to get caught out here by the Nature's Grasp. Now Kaisa's Raven going to ult to find the finish there. A great Void Seeker to find the final kill onto the Thresh. Now that is two members down for the side of We Strike First. Only three remaining as the rest of TDS looks to find the finish here. Barreling down the mid lane. Olaf cutting off access from the side that they are retreating to. Now they're going to take the base. Can they hold this tower? 5v3. Baron is available, but TDS are not interested. They want to crack the base as they approach.
This will be the inhibitor tower going down. Festive not even close to a mega. Riprox has the ultimate, but they cannot engage. Two members still in the gray screen. They're just going to take the inhibitor and walk right out to the Baron.
Yeah, and you must imagine that that is likely going to be a free Baron as well. The spawn timer's going to be a little late here. The Realm Warp even being used to get them there a little bit early. Spaxy heading to the bottom lane, so it looks like no contest is going to be chosen here, and this might be the final push coming in.
It might be, and as you said, critical mass for nearly every champion on the Rift. 40, almost 41 minutes into this game. It's 90 seconds for this last soul, and I expect that to be it, Potato. And I think that TDS Academy now, with the Baron, with this Olaf, with these critical mass champions on their side, are coming into this last fight with a heavy advantage on their side. Feels like without the opportunity to kite out Olaf, there is not a chance that We Strike First can claim this win. And even if they do, it's going to be a tough battle back. 7,000 now, the deficit. Dragon, 1 minute until it spawns. And we'll have to see if we can see We Strike First pick up Izumo. If Izumo does not die, We Strike First cannot win.
Yeah, and the rest of the members hitting their builds as well. Rise now full build. Kaisa getting very close to full build here. So Olaf is no longer the solo threat. The Amumu and Nar, what won them so many fights early on in the game, simply do not have the finishing power anymore at this stage to solo out these carries. And now it's going to be Dragon Soul in the eyes of TDS as both teams start approaching. 30 seconds to go.
And it's just ticking down, both these teams already establishing their position. And it is TDS Academy getting the first move into the river themselves. Forces We Strike First to try to face check in. And this is something they've been doing well all series long, getting the first move. Bulldog set up in the same bush that was death for Spaxy last time. Less than 2 seconds now. Dragon's live, but neither team wanted to take it yet. And it looks like they're just trying to pick him off a member before they fight. Bulldog just face checking, walking in.
Yeah, and that is the root. Oh, wow, the Dark Mining somehow missing there, but it does not matter. Riprock's going down immediately. The Olaf going to CC immune, so that's going to be Nanar going down, and the rest of the team are soon to
Oh,
follow. A big root from Blaze finding the heart of Lafroggy there, and now that is Nuxali going to be the last to fall. Some members heading back towards the Dragon, Bulldog heading towards the middle lane. The Minion Wave not quite there, but a second surrender coming through. That is going to be the game and series over to TDS.
a 2-0 victory secured from TDS Academy here in that second game. Great game to TDS Academy, taking the win, being successful here back to back, getting the key scaling advantages primarily off the back of Izumo in the top lane.
Yeah, that one fight around Dragon really just unlocking the champion, and ever since then, despite a few small slips up in two prior fights, he was just unlocked, absolutely running over the rest of the game. We Strike First was not able to find the answer, and TDS were able to close out the rest of the team fights.
Yeah, 74% of the channel points went to the correct outcome there. We Strike First, unfortunately, not able to strike first or second in this series, and does take the devastating 0-2. It was not without being hard fought, though. It felt like in that second game, especially, Riprocks, Lafroggy, Spaxy, the rest of this crew felt like they had opportunities to get into the game and were not at the same disadvantage they were in game number one, but ultimately it was not enough, and a 2-0 victory secured here from TDS.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw some moments of promise in game one, some nice trades around the map. In game two, some excellent engages off of Riprocks and Festive, but ultimately unable to deal with the Olaf and the demands that champion brought out. But I'm hoping to see more from this team. Both of these teams played pretty well tonight. We saw some good moments from them, and I hope that they continue to improve throughout the split.
Yeah, I hope so too. Still lots of season 14 for Style Esports to play, but no more for this matchup, unfortunately. So it is a 2-0 for us, Potato, but again, a wonderful evening of League of Legends, on this great Lunar New Year as well. What a great special time to be able to celebrate some more League of Legends here on Style Esports.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a pleasure to be casting here. Hope you guys have a great time with your family for those of you who are celebrating, and an enjoyable weekend otherwise.
Absolutely. But for All Out Potato and myself, Llama, that is going to do it for us this evening on Style Esports. Thank you for all the chatters, the channel pointers, and the players for bringing us some exciting League of Legends this evening. And we look forward to seeing y'all on the Rift next time on Style Esports.